Imagine that there exists an ancient secret, a profound truth that most people are completely unaware of, but which can transform your financial, emotional, and spiritual life overnight. Think about this. How many times have you desperately clung to something, a relationship, a job, a situation, and the more you held on, the more it slipped through your fingers? What if I told you there's a powerful spiritual law that, when understood and applied correctly, can release all the trapped energies in your life and open the floodgates of prosperity in an almost miraculous way? Today, here on Daily Prayer, we're going to unveil one of the most powerful and transformative secrets that exist, the true law of detachment. And pay attention. What you're going to discover by the end of this video can completely revolutionize the way you relate to your needs, your desires, and especially to the blessings God has prepared for you. Because the most surprising and powerful revelation will come last, and it will show you how you may have been unconsciously blocking the greatest blessings of your life. Welcome to Daily Prayer, a sacred place of prayer, faith, and daily inspiration, created especially so you never walk alone on your spiritual journey. Here we explore the deepest mysteries of faith and reveal how to apply divine principles in your practical life. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, subscribe now to the Daily Prayer channel. Leave your like to strengthen our community. Comment about your personal experience with detachment. And share this video with someone who needs to hear this transformative message. Because what you're going to discover today may be exactly what was missing to unlock the doors of abundance in your life. Have you ever stopped to reflect on how many people live trapped in cycles of anxiety, despair, and need, precisely because they don't understand this fundamental law of the universe created by God? Millions of sincere Christians pray, fast, tithe, and do everything they believe is right, but continue experiencing inexplicable blockages in their lives. And what's most intriguing is that often, the more they strive and cling to their requests, the more distant they become from the answers. This is not a coincidence. There's a deep spiritual reason for this, and it's directly connected to something Jesus taught very clearly, but which few have truly understood in its purest essence. When Christ said, "Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these other things will be added to you," he wasn't just giving moral advice. He was revealing a fundamental spiritual law about how true prosperity works in God's kingdom. The problem is that most of us have been conditioned to believe we need to fight, force, and control every aspect of our lives to get what we desire. We've been taught that desperation and anxiety are signs that we really want something, when in reality, these feelings are the greatest blockers of divine blessings manifesting in our lives. Think about this for a moment. When you're desperately attached to a specific outcome, when you lose sleep thinking about how to make something happen, when you feel that tightness in your chest every time you think about the possibility of not getting what you desire, what are you really doing? You're sending a very clear message to the universe and to God. I don't trust that you will take care of me. I need to control everything because I'm afraid. And here's the first great secret I want to reveal to you. Fear and lack of trust create a vibration of scarcity that repels exactly what we most desire to attract. It's as if we were constantly saying, "I don't have," instead of "I receive." It's as if we were closing our hands in such a tight fist that not even God can place his blessings in our palms. The law of detachment, when understood in its deepest spiritual dimension, doesn't mean you should stop desiring or stop working toward your goals. It means you should learn to work, desire, and dream from a place of absolute trust in God's goodness and perfect timing, instead of working from fear of loss or anxiety for control. But how does this work in practice? How can you apply this law in your financial life, in your relationships, in your career, and in all areas where you've felt blockages? This is exactly the territory we're going to explore together, and I promise that the revelations to come will surprise you deeply. First, you need to understand that there's a fundamental difference between inspired desire and desperate desire. Inspired desire is born from the clear vision of something good that God has placed in your heart. It's accompanied by peace, positive expectation, and a sense that you're already walking toward the manifestation of that thing. Desperate desire, on the other hand, is born from fear of lack, comparison with others, social pressure, or the belief that you're not worthy of receiving blessings without an extreme struggle. When Jesus taught about asking, seeking, and knocking, he was referring to an attitude of persevering trust, not controlling desperation. The difference is subtle but transformative. It's the difference between a child who asks something of their father, knowing they will be heard and cared for, versus someone who begs with fear of being rejected or abandoned. And here's something that will make you rethink everything you believed you knew about manifestation and prayer. The greatest blessings of your life may be being blocked, not by lack of faith, but by excessive attachment to the details of how and when they should arrive. This revelation may seem contradictory at first sight, but let me explain with a real story that will open your eyes to a transformative spiritual truth. I knew a woman who prayed for years to get her own business. She fasted, participated in prayer chains, held vigils, but nothing happened. Her prayers were always desperate, full of anxiety about how she would pay the bills if she didn't get that specific business she had in mind. One day, after another disappointment, she simply surrendered. She said to God, "Lord, I place this dream in your hands. If it's your will, let it happen. If not, I trust that you have something even better prepared for me." And you know what happened? In 3 weeks, a completely unexpected opportunity arose, better than anything she had imagined, and she built a prosperous business that transformed not only her financial life, but the lives of dozens of families she employed. But why did this happen? Why, when she stopped desperately clinging to her specific desire, did prosperity finally flow into her life? The answer lies in understanding how the energy of detachment works on the spiritual plane. When you're attached to a specific outcome, you're essentially telling the universe, "I only accept the blessing if it comes exactly this way, at this time and in this manner." But God, in His infinite wisdom, often has much bigger and better plans than anything we can imagine. As it's written, "My thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are your ways my ways," says the Lord. Attachment creates energetic resistance. It's like trying to force water through a clogged pipe. The water wants to flow, but the obstruction prevents natural flow. Similarly, God's blessings want to flow into your life, but desperate attachment, fear, and the need to control create obstructions in the spiritual channel through which these blessings reach you. Now let me share with you the 3 levels of detachment that can completely revolutionize your experience with prosperity. The first level is detachment from how. Most people not only ask God for something specific, but also try to control exactly how it should happen. They want their dream job, but only if it's at this specific company. They want to find true love, but only if it's with that specific type of person. They want financial prosperity, but only if it comes through that business opportunity they have in mind. Detachment from how means you become clear about what you desire: more income, a loving relationship, better health. But you completely open yourself to the infinite creative ways God can use to bring this into your life. You stop limiting the creator of the universe to the small scenarios your human mind can imagine. The second level is detachment from when. We live in a culture of instant gratification, and we bring this mentality to our spiritual life. We want God to answer our prayers in our time, according to our schedule. But divine timing is perfect, and often what we perceive as delay is actually God preparing you, preparing circumstances, aligning people and situations, so that when the blessing arrives, you're completely ready to receive it and maintain it. Think about how many stories you've heard of people who won the lottery and lost everything in a few years. Why? Because they received the financial blessing before being emotionally and spiritually prepared to manage it. The delay you may be experiencing isn't divine rejection. It's divine preparation. The third level, and perhaps the deepest, is detachment from need. This is the level where true spiritual magic happens. It doesn't mean you stop wanting good things for your life. It means you reach a place of such deep peace with who you are in God that you genuinely know you'll be okay, regardless of whether you get what you're asking for or not. When you reach this level of detachment, something extraordinary happens. You stop vibrating at the frequency of scarcity and begin vibrating at the frequency of abundance. And abundance attracts more abundance. It's an immutable spiritual law. But here's something that needs to be said clearly. True detachment is not indifference. It's not becoming cold or stopping caring. It's the opposite. It's caring so much about your spiritual well-being and God's will that you're willing to trust completely in the divine process, even when you can't see the complete picture. Jesus demonstrated this level of detachment in the Garden of Gethsemane when he prayed, "Father, if possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will." He had a clear preference, expressed his desire honestly, but was completely surrendered to God's greater plan. And you know what else? People who practice true detachment become magnetic to blessings. They radiate a peace and confidence that attracts opportunities, people, and positive situations. They stop repelling prosperity with desperate energy and begin attracting it with calm faith energy. But how do you develop this spiritual ability in practice? How do you train your mind and heart to live in this dimension of radical trust? There are specific practices, spiritual exercises that can help you make this transition from anxiety to faith, from control to surrender, from attachment to freedom. Now I'm going to reveal 5 powerful practices that can completely transform your capacity to live in true detachment and release the trapped energies in your life. These are not psychological techniques or human philosophy. They are deep spiritual principles based on biblical wisdom and tested by thousands of people who have experienced extraordinary transformations. The first practice is daily surrender prayer. Every day, before even making your requests to God, you dedicate a few minutes to consciously surrender all your desires, worries, and plans into the Father's hands. You say something like, "Lord, today I place all my dreams, all my needs, and all my fears in your perfect hands. I trust that you know what's best for me and that your timing is perfect. Let your will be done in my life." This practice may seem simple, but it's profoundly transformative. When you begin the day acknowledging that God is in control, you immediately align your energy with peace instead of anxiety, with trust instead of fear. You stop starting the day trying to control the universe and begin allowing the universe to work through you. The second practice is what I call present abundance visualization. Instead of desperately visualizing what you don't have, you dedicate time every day to recognize and thank for the abundance that already exists in your life at this exact moment. You make a mental or written list of all the blessings you've already received: your breath, your health, the people you love, the roof over your head, the food on your table. Why is this so powerful? Because gratitude is the vibrational frequency of abundance. When you're genuinely grateful for what you already have, you're telling the universe, "I recognize abundance. I live in abundance. I'm a person who receives blessings." And the universe responds by sending more things you can be grateful for. The third practice is revolutionary and may surprise you: prayer for others' desires. When you're too attached to your own desires, one of the most effective ways to release that trapped energy is to begin sincerely praying for other people's success and prosperity. Pray for your friends to find love. Pray for your co-workers to receive promotions. Pray for strangers to be financially blessed. What happens when you do this? Your energy expands beyond selfish focus, and you begin vibrating at the frequency of unconditional love. You stop operating in the scarcity mentality that says, "There's only enough for some," and begin operating in the abundance mentality that says, "There's enough for everyone." And when you genuinely wish well for others, the universe conspires to bring good to you too. The fourth practice is results fasting. Once or twice a week, dedicate an entire day to not thinking, talking, or worrying about any of the outcomes you're expecting. If you're waiting for an answer about a job, on that day you don't think about the job. If you're expecting financial improvement, on that day you don't think about money. Instead, you focus completely on serving God, serving other people, and being present in the current moment. This practice breaks the obsessive cycle of thoughts that keeps your energy trapped in anxiety. It's like giving a reset to your energetic system. And you'll be surprised by how many inspirations, ideas, and opportunities arise precisely when you stop forcing and allow your mind to rest. The fifth practice is perhaps the most powerful of all, the total trust declaration. Every day, look in the mirror and declare aloud, "I completely trust that God has the best plans for my life. I release control and accept with gratitude everything that comes from the loving heart of my Heavenly Father. I am worthy of receiving blessings, and they come to me at the perfect time and in the perfect way." When you speak these words with conviction, something transforms in your energetic field. You stop emitting the vibration of someone fighting against life and begin emitting the vibration of someone dancing with life. And life responds to this energy change in almost miraculous ways. But let me warn you about something crucial. These practices don't work if you do them as a manipulative technique to get what you want faster. They only work when you practice them with genuine sincerity, when you truly desire to align with God's will, not just use God to get your own will. The difference is subtle but fundamental. One is true surrender that opens channels for divine prosperity. The other is spiritual manipulation that keeps you trapped in the same patterns of control and anxiety. And here's something fascinating that neuroplasticity studies confirm. When you consistently practice detachment, you literally rewire your brain. You strengthen the neural pathways associated with peace, trust, and creativity, and weaken the pathways associated with fear, anxiety, and obsessive control. Dr. Joe Dispenza, renowned neuroscientist, discovered that people who practice conscious surrender show measurable changes in brain activity in just 8 weeks. They develop greater capacity to make clear decisions, greater resistance to stress, and curiously, greater ability to recognize and seize opportunities. But there's something even deeper happening. When you live in true detachment, you align with life's natural flow. You stop swimming against the current and learn to navigate wisely through the waters God prepared for you. And in this state of alignment, coincidences become frequent. Opportunities appear unexpectedly, and you begin experiencing what many call luck, but which is actually the natural result of living in harmony with the spiritual laws of the universe. Now comes the moment for the most powerful revelation I promised at the beginning of this video. Prepare your heart, because what you're going to hear now can forever change the way you relate to your prayers, your dreams, and especially to God Himself. The deepest truth about the law of detachment is this: when you truly detach from outcomes, you're not just releasing trapped energy or attracting material prosperity. You're becoming a pure channel through which God's love can flow to the world. And when you become this type of channel, you discover that the greatest prosperity isn't in what you receive, but in what you become. Let me tell you about a man named George Miller, who lived in the 19th century and ran orphanages in England. He cared for more than 10,000 orphaned children during his life and never asked anyone for money. His only source of sustenance was prayer. He practiced the most radical detachment I've ever seen documented. He prayed for his needs once and then simply trusted that God would provide. And you know what happened? Provisions came in extraordinary ways. People who didn't even know his work felt inexplicable impulses to send money, food, and supplies. Merchants offered impossible discounts. Farmers donated entire harvests. For decades, those children never lacked anything. But here's the secret Miller discovered, and that I want to share with you. He wasn't just practicing detachment to receive provisions. He had become so aligned with God's heart that his needs and God's needs became the same thing. He wanted to care for those children because God wanted to care for those children. His desires and divine desires merged into a single current of love. And this is the highest level of detachment, when you detach even from the need for your life to be about you. When your dreams expand to include God's dream for humanity. When your prosperity becomes an instrument for others' prosperity. At this level, something miraculous happens. You stop needing to strive to attract blessings because you become a blessing. The universe conspires to sustain you because you've become an agent of divine conspiracy to sustain others. But how do you get there? How do you make this transition from personal pursuit of prosperity to becoming a channel of divine prosperity? The answer may surprise you with its simplicity. You begin by asking God every day, Lord, how can I be a blessing today? How can I use everything I've received to glorify your name and serve your children? When this question becomes the first question of your day, when serving becomes more important than receiving, when you genuinely care more about being useful than being prosperous, something extraordinary happens. You become prosperous in ways you never imagined possible. And here's the final revelation, the most powerful of all. God doesn't just want to bless you. He wants to bless through you. He doesn't just want to supply your needs. He wants you to become part of the way He supplies others' needs. You weren't created just to receive miracles. You were created to be a miracle in other people's lives. When you understand this deeply, when this becomes part of your spiritual identity, all your prayers transform. Instead of praying, God, give me, you begin praying, God, use me. Instead of asking, Lord, prosper me, you begin asking, Lord, make me an instrument of your prosperity. And at this moment, at this exact moment when you make this shift, all the trapped energies in your life begin to move. All the doors that seemed closed begin to open. All the opportunities that seemed impossible begin to manifest, because you stopped trying to receive from the source and became part of the source. If you've watched this far, say in the comments, I choose to be a channel of blessings. I want to see how many people are ready to make this profound transformation in their lives. This is the truth that can revolutionize not just your financial situation, but your entire existence. When you detach from the need to control your life and surrender completely to the purpose of serving God's plan, you discover that God was just waiting for this surrender to pour upon you. Blessings you didn't even know were possible to receive. But remember, this transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a daily process of choosing trust instead of fear, service instead of selfishness, love instead of anxiety. Each day you'll have opportunities to practice true detachment, and each time you choose to trust, you become a little freer, a little more prosperous, a little more like what God dreamed when He decided to create you. If this message touched your heart, if you feel it's time to release the trapped energies in your life and open yourself to a completely new level of spiritual and material prosperity, I invite you to subscribe to the Daily Prayer channel right now. Leave your like to strengthen our community of faith. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this transformative revelation. And don't stop here. Click on the videos that will appear on the screen right now. One of them will show you how to transform your financial life through the power of true gratitude, and the other will reveal the 3 types of prayer that can open any closed door in your life. These are powerful continuations of this journey of spiritual transformation. Remember, you were created to live in abundance. You were created to be free. You were created to be a channel of blessings. And now you have the spiritual keys to make this truth a tangible reality in your life. May God abundantly bless your journey of detachment and true prosperity.